Okay, guys, so welcome everyone. And this event has been organized under the title of Movies for the Inner Work, where we take more or less once a month a movie with a deep spiritual meaning, and we analyze it, we give some background, we watch it, and then we discuss it. And so today we're going to watch a very, very deep movie called Samsara. It's going to be it's going to be probably the fourth time that I will be watching it. And every time I discover something new. But meanwhile, let's just mute ourselves and just sit quietly for something like 2 minutes, just to get grounded. Each one can meditate their own style. And so I'm also muting myself, and we'll see each other in like 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, guys, so let's come back slowly, slowly. Let's feel our body. Let's be in the body. Feel the sensations of the body from the neutral point of view without reacting. Just being here and now. Feeling our feet touching the floor. Our heads touching the knees. Just being in the body. Let's try to keep this state of being throughout this whole meeting. So you can open your eyes. Thank you. Okay, guys. So we have quite a lot of people here today. And I just want to tell you that this activity takes place within the framework of another group where I participate, which is called the Esoteric Circle. This group is based on, but actually we have Pete here, who has President Biden behind him. I still haven't figured out what Biden is doing there.
I'm just supporting him, even in a cutout.
Okay.
No, well, it's great, great to be here, Eric, and you've been a huge part of the initial growth of this group. I'm a pastor in the Christian Church in the United Church of Christ here in the United States, but I've recently left the pulpit, and I'm focusing all of my attention on really kind of a group here that is called Esoteric Circle. And what we're doing here is we're trying to give people a sense of the inner church instead of just the outer church. And what we're doing is we're focusing on the fourth way teachings, Gnosticism, and Orthodoxy, with a real focus on the fourth way. So we're very interested in gathering people up who are wanting a deeper understanding of God and over and above what the outer church and what the world gives us. I have had the privilege of having contact with a couple of mystics throughout my life, Charles Ashton and Robin Amos, who have really kind of motivated me to do this. So I'm sharing a lot of the ideas that have been shared with me. Ted Nottingham has been a huge influence. So just gathering people up. We have a Esoteric Circle, has about 1,300 subscribers, but we have a smaller group on Discord, which meets every Saturday morning. We're studying Muravyev's Gnosis right now.
Yeah,
And
Peter, I just want to tell you that most of the people are not familiar here with those terms like fourth way and who is Muraviev. So maybe you could just give little background, just 2 or 3 minutes, and then we will delve into the subjects more related to the movie.
Sure. Basically, the fourth way is a form of esoteric Christianity that a guy named Gurdjieff developed, and Ouspensky and Muraviev in the early part of the 20th century. So it is basically taking some of the ideas out of Orthodoxy and showing that there's a lot of depth within Christianity. There's an inner church, and I didn't know about this inner church until I met these guys. So I'm sharing these ideas about this kind of the Zen Buddhism side of Christianity that has been kind of lost. So it is called The Fourth Way, and so very interested in sharing these ideas.
Okay. Okay, guys. So if you have any more, if it sounds interesting, if you have any more inquiries in this direction, you can either write to me, and then I will just connect between you and Peter. But it's a really, really interesting stuff. And now I want to connect it to the movie, because Fourth Way teaches how to utilize situations in the world while living in the world and grow out of those situations. So that's actually the fourth way, the way of spiritual way in the world, inside the world. Now here in this movie Samsara, we will see a monk who, on the one hand, has learned lots of spiritual tools. He has been at the retreat for about 3 years, solitude retreat. But when it comes to surviving or to acting in the world after he left the monastery, he's like a baby. He's not familiar with acting in the world. Now, now how is it connected with the teaching of Gurdjieff? I want to just want to read you a quote, and then we will get to the movie. So Gurdjieff talks about crystallization. So when person has like wants to work on themselves, so we need to create friction, like kind of friction between yes and no. For example, I have certain impulses, but then I resist those impulses, and then there is friction, and then out of this friction there is growth. Now, Gurdjieff says that this crystallization that comes out of this friction might take place on the right foundation, but it might also take place on the wrong foundation. For example, here in this book, In Search of the Miraculous, that actually describes his teachings, the guy who wrote this book says, and I quote, but crystallization, and then I will just connect it to the movie, to what you're going to see. But crystallization is possible on the right foundation, and it is possible on the wrong foundation. Friction, the struggle between yes and no, can easily take place on a wrong foundation. For instance, a fanatical belief in some or other idea, or the fear of sin, quote unquote, can evoke a terribly intense struggle between yes and no, and a man may crystallize on these foundations. But this would be a wrong, incomplete crystallization. Such a man will not possess the possibility of further development. In order to make further development possible, he must be melted down again, and this can be accomplished only through terrible suffering. So, so in my opinion, this one of the ideas of the fourth way that this particular movie depicts is this idea, because this guy, his name is Tashi, you will see him in a few minutes. He has been on a retreat, on a solitude retreat for 3 years, and he has been in the monastery for about 20 years. So obviously he had created lots of crystallization, lots of inner being of a certain kind. But then you will see that this inner being did not protect him from terrible mistakes he did while living in the world. Now, just before we delve into the movie, Pete, I just want to ask you, because you've worked like you have been a pastor for a very long time. So have you noticed some examples where people crystallized in certain aspects of their lives, but then when it comes to other aspects such as controlling their moods or controlling their acting or anything like that, the crystallization wasn't there, like something was imbalanced there?
Yeah, I mean that passage. I just did a video on that passage this morning, and that's awesome that you are quoting that, because that you can have that developed part of you, this crystallization, but you don't have to have consciousness with it. So the consciousness part is what we're after. We're after this development of the higher personality. We're after what is Gurdjieff talks about, this higher emotional center. So you can have discipline. You can have discipline like a soldier. You can have discipline like a monk. But if you don't have this consciousness, then there's, as Gurdjieff says, what's the point? So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see that with someone who's like I knew someone who was really highly developed with the Wim Hof method of taking ice baths, and he's very, very developed with this. And he's just developed within the motor center. So the fourth way really takes the motor center, the intellectual center, and the emotional centers, and combines those and works out into the world. We are not, all of us are not able to go to a monastery and get away from the world. We have to live in the world. So the fourth way is really that fourth way of combining all three of them, developing consciousness and evolving. This is all about spiritual evolution.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So guys, so look, we're going to watch it like that. This movie can be divided into three parts. It doesn't have three parts, but we can divide it. So so we'll stop after each part just for a short break, something like 5 minutes, when you can just grab your coffee or grab any other drink if you want. Or we can also discuss. I will also give you some cultural background on certain points that I prepared that we will see in the movie. If you have any thoughts or realization related to that particular part, you're welcome to express them. And also, if you kind of lost something in the plot or something got unclear, you can write it down. So you can just take a piece of paper and a pen and just write it down. And then during those breaks, we will talk about that. So we'll have the first break at about 55 minutes when this Tashi, when he leaves the monastery and goes into the world. So because that's the turning point. And then we will have another break like that. I'll tell you when we get to that. So guys, and the last thing, in case something gets wrong with the streaming through Zoom, I'll put a link to this movie in the chat of the Zoom. So you can just, in case something goes wrong, you can just go to this link. But after 55 minutes of watching, just stop it and then come back to the Zoom for discussion. But I don't think there will be any problems. So let me just, so right now I'm just stopping the recording for now. Yeah, so what I said that just a few things about cultural background, that in Buddhism it's okay to be a monk for a certain period of time, then get back to the world, then return to the monastery. That's why no one was frowning at him when he basically decided to leave the monastery. So that's the first cultural thing. The second one, there was this depiction of this Tibetan festival with all these big masks. I just looked at it a little bit. So those are kind of ritual dances or ritual ceremonies, and those masks either depict different historical figures from Tibetan tradition or different supernatural beings that might protect the monastery or something like that. So that's the cultural background about this ceremony. And also we saw this very young Lama, very young holy person. So also in Tibetan tradition, they have this system when they recognize, for example, very famous or very wise teacher reincarnating into a young person, and then they can kind of take this young person and give him monastic education, and then they become very, very holy people right from the beginning. So those are few cultural backgrounds that I was thinking about. And Pete, so now tell me, as a pastor, as a former pastor, if someone from your congregation who was kind of indoctrinated into Christian lifestyle from birth in their family, if they now want to leave the church and then they want to go and explore different spiritual paths or different ways of life and stuff like that, which advice would you give them in order to do it in a balanced way, in order not fall down in this world unprepared? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. I think that the advice that I would give would be to stay connected with a group, to stay connected with a mentor, to stay connected with people who are going to be able to surround you with good advice. So I mean, whether it's within a church or not, So, these, yeah, I think that's what I would say. Deeply important to stay connected with a group and to stay connected with people who are going to be able to surround you with good energy. I mean, that's kind of what has happened to me. I've had help people guiding me and giving me good advice, even when I so-called reject the church. I still have people surrounding me and loving me. So I don't know if that answers that question or not.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, guys, so do you have any more ideas or any more points to clarify before we get back to the movie?
Hi there, Arik. Franco here. Thanks a lot for this. This is really good. I've never seen this. So, but it strikes me that he never had a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you watch the other child being introduced in, and he's watching him, and he's calling for his father. He's calling. You know, he has no choice. So it's quite different tradition to what you know. Even if you're raised in, I was raised in a Catholic Christian sort of background, but you know, no way in that environment. That is totally away from the world from a very young age. You know, so it's like an extreme, and then he's in a cave for over 3 years. It is a complete and utter extreme, and then you're kind of being born. This is what I was thinking. He was like being reborn into a new into the world when he came out of that cave. Yeah, that's just my initial impression.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Does anyone else have anything to say? To share any thoughts?
I found it fascinating that the dream, when he had the woman come to him and lay next to him, and he wakes up and the guy's there. He's like, "Oh wow, that's a dream." And then right at the end here, before he says, "That wasn't a dream."
Yeah,
I found that fascinating. That that every one of us is on a separate path, and the issue of karma and the issue of remembrance of past lives as well. I'm a big believer in that, even as a Christian. This eternal recurrence, and he has his own path to go on. We all do, and
right.
He's remembering things. That woman, he's going into he's experiencing his really experiencing his karma and his karmic burden, and he's following that, even though like Franco said, he was born into that, no choice, and now he's choosing. I just find that awesome. This is a beautiful movie.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, guys. So I mean, now you have 1 or 2 minutes. I have to get back to the movie. You can grab your coffee or tea or whatever if you want, or go to the bathroom. So
one thing, Arik, thing you forgot. You said that you are going to talk about the stone that the bird was throwing.
Yeah, but actually, it's better to talk about it towards the end, because then we kind of get to the full circle. So okay. Yeah. So then it's gonna be more relevant. So we'll be seeing the second part, and like if by chance you have a problem streaming, then just go to the link and get back at 2 hours, like after 2 hours mark. Get back and just yes.
A bit late now, isn't it?
What?
He went out earlier.
What's that?
I didn't get it. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, and just one last thing. The second part has a few quite explicit erotic scenes. Now, after a few seconds, I will just going to move fast through that, because we don't need to like watch, erotic scenes here for like 5 minutes or something like that. We all understand what's going on. It's not in this particular setting. I don't think it's going to contribute as this particular aspect. So if you want to watch it, you're welcome to go to the link later on and just watch it. So yes, guys. So now I'm turning the recording off again, and we will get back to the second part, where Tashi is basically go back to the world. So let's see what happened there. Yes, guys. So have you had any realizations or things to share regarding the second part?
Well, the title of the movie makes sense, right? Because Samsara is the of the life and birth, the trap of the cycle of life, and what Buddha said is that you have to seek to be free from samsara, right?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, samsara also identifies illusion, the things that you think that are real, but they are not. So he's in the middle of that. For me, all the time, what the movie is showing is that when he was first a monk, he thought things were perfect, perhaps, but he was. I think he thought he was enlightened, but he wasn't. You know.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So that's why he's not really the owner of his fate. That's why following his desires and always distracted, even though he was able to be 3 years without 3 years in meditation, you know. But what the movies I think tries to show is that even being able to meditate and to reach very profound states in meditation, if you believe that that's it, that belief is an illusion.
Yeah. I think it's very deep what you have just said. Yeah, like it isn't enough. Like you have to learn how to act in life, and that's basically how to do things. Now, Pete, do you have any insights or anything to share regarding the second part?
Wow, really nothing more than what Ellie just said. That was beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, just the issue of in the fourth way we talk about A influences and B influences, and he's deep in the A influences.
Yeah,
the
but
influences.
Pete, maybe you could clarify, because most of the people are not familiar with this terminology.
Sure.
Here. So
the A influences are the influences of the world that bring you down, the samsara, and it's the things that are bringing you down to this earth. And the B influences are the things that are from the higher levels, the higher regions of existence and other cosmos. And but he didn't have that development. But he had to. You have to be in the world and learn these things, and that's that suffering that he is doing with the fire and having the affair and just all this stuff. It's just he's learning the hard way. He's working through his karma.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, guys? So yeah, and here you have this. I also wanted to ask what you think about this sentence of his master, that his master left for him while dying, which means and I quote here, so I know I'm coming back to this world, and I'm sure I will meet you in my next life, and then you can tell me what's more important, satisfying 1,000 desires or conquering just one. Now, what do you think? Like, what are your thoughts about this sentence, its connection to the movie, and what his master meant by saying that?
For me, it is related to the message he saw when he was at first in the first images. He saw a message in a rock that said something that how a drop of water, how it dries, something like that. Something about. For me, it sounds like a question without answer, something that is unique and you have to discover by yourself.
So the question there was, how can one prevent a drop of water from ever drying up? So that was the question. Yeah.
Yes. So for me, that the message that the teacher, the master left him is related to that first question, to the answer of that first question.
And then what do you think he meant by, okay, satisfying 1,000 desires, that's pretty much clear, but or conquering just one, like, what, do you have any idea what he meant by that particular saying?
The two things are two impossibles, you know? So it's not the one or the other. And according to the Buddha's teachings, is the middle way. So you have to find the middle way between the two, you know, because if you just work to conquer just one desire, all the other desires are going to overcome you. And if you try to conquer all desires, well, it's an impossible thing as well.
Yeah, that's a very interesting viewpoint. I am reading, like before preparing this movie for watching, I just read few blogs, few articles about this movie, different commentaries. So one guy says that from his point of view, satisfying 1,000 desires means material life, like to go to the material life, but conquering just one, it's the desire for liberation, which is also a desire, but you conquer this desire for liberation. That's from his point of view.
Yeah, but from Buddha's point of view, liberation is not conquering desires, but understanding. Enlightenment is understanding. Because desires are there and are going to be there forever, right? So that's the understanding is the difference.
Okay, guys, do you have any more ideas or any more thoughts to share about those subjects? Okay, so we'll get back now to the movie for the last 20 minutes. I just want to tell you that in one of the final scenes, there is this very strong and clear reference to Yasodhara, who was Siddhartha's wife, Siddhartha, who later became the Buddha. So, and in order to understand it deeper, I just want to read you a brief information. So Yasodhara, she was wedded to Prince Siddhartha when they both were 16. At the age of 29, she gave birth to their only child, a boy named Rahula. On the night of his birth, the prince left the palace. Yasodhara was devastated and overcome with grief. Once Prince Siddhartha left his home at night for enlightenment, the next day everyone was surprised by the absence of the prince. Later, when she realized that he had left, Yasodhara decided to lead a simple life. Although relatives sent her messages to say that they would maintain her, she did not take up those offers. Several princes sought her hand, but she rejected the proposals. Throughout his 6-year absence, Princess Yasodhara followed the news of his actions closely. When the Buddha visited Kapilavastu, like the place where she lived, after enlightenment, Yasodhara did not go to see her former husband, but asked Rahula to go to the Buddha to seek inheritance. For herself, she thought, surely, if I have gained any virtue at all, the Lord will come to my presence. In order to fulfill her wish, Buddha came into her presence and admired her patience and sacrifice. King Suddhodana told Buddha how his daughter-in-law, Yasodhara, had spent her life in grief without her husband. Suddhodana, I think he was the father of Siddhartha, right? Yeah, okay. Sometime after, her son Rahula became a monk. Yasodhara also entered the order of monks and nuns, and within time attained the state of an arhat, which is a high spiritual state. She died at 78, 2 years before Buddha's death. So that's just a short story of this woman, Yasodhara. And now let's get back to the movie. Okay, so I'm stopping the recording. Okay, guys, so congratulations for completing this movie. So could you share some of your insights, thoughts regarding the ending, regarding the whole message, the whole movie?
I just thought it was fabulous. I love the ending. It came full circle, and with the hawk or whatever that was, and I just thought it was a great choice, and just the influences that he had to experience in order to get back where he was. He developed. He's going to now go back and develop consciousness, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this is his. He had to experience that.
Yeah, I think so too. So in my opinion, the ending is kind of ambiguous, like you don't really know whether but he will probably go back to the monastery, probably. Yeah, like I think it's not 100% sure, but most of the chances. And he will probably do his inner work there in a more conscious way, understanding. I also like this scene while Pema was talking to him, he was looking at ants, you know, like, and they're running like all the samsara. So it was a great metaphor. Yeah.
Was.
Yeah. Guys, so who else would love to share their thoughts? Vaseline, so what do you think? Ellie, yeah, Franco, Mariam, Mala, what do you all think? Other guys, Michael, yeah, Vijay. Yeah, I wanted to ask what you think actually about this saying, like how can we save a drop of water from ever drying up? And then on the other back, it says by throwing into the sea. Now, I'll give you two interpretations of that from one of the articles I read. So one interpretation was the only way peace is possible for man is by his merger with the absolute. So that's one commentary on that. And another one is that man's real place is in samsara, the ocean of which he is a drop, like that he has to kind of be thrown in the samsara in order to learn. So what do you think about this saying, whether one of those commentaries is suitable in your opinion, or you think something different?
For me, is something related with duality, you know, the division.
Mm-hmm.
And in life, we are here and we actually are in the middle of samsara. It's no difference if we are, you know, someone very ignorant or a very wise monk, whatever. It's the same. So the sea is here and now, so everything is has its importance for us. So that's why in Zen Buddhism they say that the wiser you are, the most ordinary you are. So what makes you wiser? I chop wood and I cook every day, kind of thing. So for me, that's the meaning of the answer.
Very interesting. Thank you. So who else would love to share?
Hello.
Yeah.
Do you hear me? Okay. I don't know if my English will be so good to say what I want to say. First, this guy, Tasha, I think it was his name. He was very successful, like a monk. He meditated for 3 years and everything was perfect, but it was not his choice. As far as I understand, his father maybe brought him to the monastery like the other kids. So he had this desire with this woman, and I think he made the right choice not to suppress all this desire, but to go and to understand what is it to be outside. But I wonder why didn't he bring from the monastery what he learned to his outside life? I didn't see him to meditate. I didn't see him to be wise, to be calm. Nothing. I didn't see anything of it. So at one point he decided to go to be a monk again. And this is like Eli said, this is duality. I didn't see him to use the middle way. Why didn't he meditate and he didn't do these things with his family, with his wife? I think this is the old paradigm way that it was shown in this movie. The new paradigm is we are here, we are all teachers, we are all gurus to ourselves, and we should go together with all our friends, our families, not to be somewhere isolated. And this is not the way, I think, anymore. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think if he wanted to go to really do it the proper way, he should have kept his mindfulness practices while being in samsara, should have kept his meditation, should have been maybe in touch with his teacher in the monastery. That's actually what you said, Peter. Like that would be the right way, but he just jumped from one extreme to another.
Didn't the at the beginning when he came out of the cave, wasn't he accused of taking things too far all the time?
Yes, that's what his teacher told him. You took it too far. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and his teacher could feel it. That's also a very beautiful moment in the movie. Yeah. So.
And in the beginning, he had the yellow leaf. At the end, he had the green leaf. And at the end, he had the yellow leaf. Does it want to say anything?
So what do you think it might symbolize?
I thought that in the beginning, green means life, means fertility, means being fortunate. But at the end, he learned that it was like a atom. It was not like that, and he should struggle to get to the happiness, to the truth. It is what I.
Wow, that's really deep insight into that. Yeah. And how do you understand, guys, this metaphor or this scene with this bird in the end? Like in the beginning, this bird threw the stone, which killed this little goat, but then this bird in the end kind of gets inside the clouds and disappears. So what do you think it might symbolize? What can we learn from that?
My immediate thought was this thing happened from nowhere, from the sky. And it made me think that things happen in the world and we don't necessarily have control. That was my thought at the time.
And maybe it means that you should sacrifice, you should suffer, you should sacrifice to get to the truth. It doesn't happen just like that.
Very interesting. Yeah. Does anyone else have any ideas?
I thought that bird symbolized, at least in Christianity, it would symbolize the Holy Spirit. Birds oftentimes are depicted as the Holy Spirit, and it was almost like the bird was the connection between the two worlds, the world and the higher worlds, and it was this connection that he had. So it was bookend, beginning and ending, and it was fantastic. And he was back in touch with those higher influences, you know, he was reconnected after having been immersed in the world, you know. Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, so we're going to wrap it up soon, unless anyone else has anything to share, any insights, any ideas.
I just want to know about the group. I have downloaded the app that Peter has sent to me, but I could not get to the group. Can you explain how it is?
I will go ahead and look and see. I've got your email, right?
Yeah.
So I will resend that. How about that? I'll resend it, and we'll go from there. But if you have any issues, you've got my. I think I responded to you, but yeah, sometimes that doesn't go through. So I'll just resend the link, and then you can join us. Well, I'll make sure you're on.
Yeah.
I want to join too. So
all right, that is awesome. If anybody wants to join, you can. How should we do that, Arik? Should we?
I will just, Eli, I will just send you a WhatsApp message with the email of Pete, and you send him an email, and he's going to send you the invitation link for Discord, and and then you can just go from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to having you with us. We've got a wonderful supportive group. So we meet every Saturday, and then we're doing this once a month. So very, very creative people, very intelligent, loving people who are gathering here with us. So you're very welcome to be with us.
Yeah, awesome materials as well, Pete. So thank you very much for starting this group. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. And this is going to be posted. So Arik is going to send me this video, and all this will be posted on the Esoteric Circle YouTube channel. So the last one was, and then this one. So each time the discussion will be a separate video.
Yes, absolutely. So we can post this discussion, and below that in the description, we can post the link to the movie itself for people who missed it, so that they can watch it.
Very good. I tell you what I can do. In the chat, I'll go ahead and put my email on there.
Yeah.
And
the problem is that once we stop this conversation, all the chat gets erased. It's not like on Skype, you know. On Skype, you have all the chat left, but here everything is erased. So
all right, we'll go ahead and just do it through Arik, and then that sounds good. All right.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming and participating. And I'm planning to do it.
Thank you so much.
In about a month or so, hopefully we'll have another meeting with a different movie. And of course, you will get the invitation for that as well.
I think someone wants to say something.
Yes, sure, absolutely.
I just wanted to add something. We talked the last for these words, and again we talk about two worlds. Yes, And I think we shouldn't go by again rejecting, because the monk, he again rejected his family. And I think this ocean, this drop should be put in this ocean, but the ocean should be everywhere, like God is everywhere, here on earth and in the skies and everywhere. So we should go to this new 5D reality where we put heaven on earth by integrating our souls, not again rejecting and rejecting. This is what I think.
Okay,
Nice.
thank you very much for sharing. Another thing, guys, and I'm adding it after we completed this recording, that I just forgot to mention this sentence that really touched me, which Pema speaks to Tashi, and she tells something of the sort of like, if you dedicated all this passion towards dharma, which means spiritual path, the same passion you directed towards me, you would become a Buddha in this very lifetime or in this very place, something of this sort. And actually, I watched it in Russian with the Russian translation, and they translated, you would become a Buddha right at your home or right in the household or right in the world, something like that. So, so basically, she kind of teaches him, or she emphasizes this principle of where we direct our energy on a daily basis. And yeah, I just caught myself that we forgot to mention it, but I think that it's a really, really important piece of teaching that we can find in this movie. Okay, guys, so all the blessings to you, and take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
We'll see you, Ellie. We'll see you,
Thank
Ellie.
you.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.